talk about one of my own works, The Hearing. The Hearing is published by Eldridge Plays and Musicals, which can be found at www.highstage.com. I've worked with Eldridge for years as a director, and for the last few years as a writer. I can't say enough about the customer service and just the care that I get as an author. I talked about them a good amount on my video on how to get a play published. Meredith Edwards is fantastic there, but literally the whole team at Eldridge is fantastic. This show has roles for 1 female and 12 flexible characters. 13 in total, but 12 of which can go either way. The show runs right at about 40 minutes, or at least it did for us. And that actually could be cut down a little bit because we had to put our set on and set off. So probably 37, 38 minutes is the run time, depending on how you do it. It was a lot of fun for us, and it's a part of, as I said, it's part of a 3-play trilogy, of which we did the second one and third one this year. The second one, The Trial of Existence, won regionals for us, and we took it to state competition, and The Collective was a show we have worked on since that point. The plot of the show is a lot of fun. You find out that this is a drama, that Earth is being controlled by 2 separate factions. The representatives of order, who have, since the beginning of time, been coercing humanity to a peaceful course, and then the forces of chaos, who are doing the exact opposite. They're trying to tear apart our civilization. And they are judged by and adjudicated by a being known as judgment, who makes rulings one way or the other. The purpose of the representatives of order is to prove that humanity is ready to join the collective, which is a group of beings that, in the cosmos, that are enlightened, and the forces of chaos are trying to prove that humanity does not belong in that group, and both are very set to do this. As the show starts, we find out that the forces of chaos have managed to perpetrate the death of a Dr. Barrett Addison. Dr. Addison is an extremely important character, not at the moment of his death, but he would be in the future, as he would find a cure to a very important disease, I do believe, a certain cancer, that he finds the cure to. But that hasn't happened yet. Now, the rules state, since both the forces of chaos and the representatives of order can kind of see into the future, that if an important character, someone who is going to change the course of humanity, dies, especially by something that has conspired from the forces of chaos, that the representatives of order have 48 hours to find 3 willing sacrifices to take his place. Now, there are certain rules that govern who can sacrifice themselves, but as the show starts, we find out that there are only 9 that have been found that could even be possible sacrifices. And no, 8. I'm sorry, I gotta look now. That's gonna bother me. Okay, 8. I'm sorry, 8 candidates. 8 candidates are found, and that could sacrifice themselves. And they're going to need to convince 3 of them to give up their life to bring back Dr. Addison. And they're given the rules on this, and the rules go in to say that it is a painless passing, and that you don't feel it, and that humanity would be made better. Meanwhile, the forces of chaos are highly trying to convince them, no, you don't need to give yourself up for this guy. As we find out, Dr. Addison is a bit of a sleazeball. He's not a good person. But his advancement for humanity is going to be massively important. And at the end, the representatives of order manage to get 3 that are willing to sacrifice themselves. And there's this moment where the rest have all left. You can leave at any point you want. You can just say, I don't want to be a part of this. And the other 5 have long since left, and there's 3 left. And they decide that they would do it for humanity. And there's this really touching moment where they're kind of saying their goodbyes to each other. And then Judgment makes a ruling that while the 3 doing sacrifices, he cannot allow them to sacrifice themselves for Dr. Addison. Now, seems to be a victory for the forces of chaos, and they go off and gloat and leave, and then Judgment comes out and explains after the three are dismissed that the reason those three couldn't sacrifice themselves is he is privy to more knowledge than they are, and that one of the three sacrifices was going to go on to make a much bigger difference in humanity for the positive than Dr. Addison ever would have. And it leaves on this nice kind of hopeful beat. For us, we had to do an intro and outro at competition, and our outro dealt with the taking apart of the set, and at the end, each one's going away, and we were playing Unwritten in the background, and the last character is on stage, and she's working on her laptop, and all the other set pieces have gone away, and as the last bit moves off, she's at her laptop, and all of a sudden she looks up, and she has this look of like understanding, and you realize that was the one that was going to make the difference. And that character was played by Ella Van Slyke for me, and she did a fantastic job. Our show did very well at competition. We won several acting awards for this show at both regionals and at the Ashley Festival, Ashley Play Festival here in Wilmington. I know that I think 4 or 5 different characters won awards between those two competitions, and it was very well received. The set for the show can be pretty basic. Ours is a little bit more intricate for a Laney High School production, as you'll see in the pictures. But the costumes are very basic for the most part. They're just normal people walking down the street as they're taken to this hearing. Ataxia and Michael and Carry-On and Hannah were dressed up. We did a little bit of fancy makeup for them, but not much. We wanted them to look very human. Michael has worn the same outfit and same getup for all 3 shows, which has been a lot of fun. And as I said, this show is part of a 3-show series. The next is The Trial of Existence. And then finally, it culminates in The Collective. Each show is entirely standalone. You don't have to see the previous ones in order to understand what's going on in the current one. They don't allude to the others. But if you read all 3 of them, they are coherent and they do tell an entire story, which as a playwright I like to do in a lot of my shows. A lot of my shows connect. The show can be found on my website, www.brenthollandplays.com, and of course on Eldridge. The show has been relatively successful. It's had about a dozen productions nationally. That was slowed down by COVID. The show got published right about the time COVID hit, and it had quite a few productions right off the get-go, and then the country slowed down. And if you're watching this, you know theater came to a crawl for about a year and a half. It did win a fairly big competition in the Phoenix area, and subsequently had several runs from schools in that area that must have seen it, so shout out to that school. Maryville, I think. I'd have to look. Anyway, so I always like when something like that happens. I've got a lot of pictures from it on my laptop. So, if you're into fantasy type work, and if you're into big philosophical questions, this is a good show. If you search up The Hearing, the Brent Holland, there's several nice articles written by other schools that did this that go into the philosophical debate of sacrificing yourself for the greater good, and it's sometimes these people make my work seem more intelligent than I think I am, which is nice. I'll take it. So if you have any questions about it, please email me at leftlegforward@gmail.com, and I'm happy to talk about anything you guys want to